Welcome to VSB News Online for Friday, June 26th. I'm Peter Kittel. Ombudsman Victoria Pearman has taken the rare step of reporting to Parliament and the public that a government department has failed to follow her recommendations. Brian Darby has the complex story.
The issue takes up 4 pages of the Ombudsman's 2014 report, but in a nutshell it concerns a female Bermudian professional who applied for a job which she suspected had been given inflated experience requirements, and she copied her application and her concerns to the Department of Immigration and the Ministry of Home Affairs. She was never contacted by the employer, but 3 months later she was informed that a work permit had been approved for the post. When the department asked if there had been any Bermudian applicants, the answer had been no. As a consequence, the department reported the facts to the minister, but he decided not to revoke the work permit. After a full investigation by the Ombudsman, recommendations were made to the department, but it refused to provide a letter of apology to the professional, refused to provide the reasons for not revoking the work permit, and declined to review its management system to ensure complaints are captured and tracked in the future. The department did agree to look carefully at how the employer conducted itself after the work permit expired and amend its advertising guidelines and recruitment criteria. The Ombudsman has no power to compel a department to implement its recommendations, but Mrs. Pearman pointed out that the accepted principles and legal authority dictate the Ombudsman's views are expected to be followed. Making the facts public in this instance is a rare event, she says, but required in the circumstances. Brian Darby reporting for VSB News.
An exhibition of rarely seen military memorabilia are on display at the Masterworks Museum of Bermuda Art as part of the Bermuda Regiment's 50th anniversary. Regimental silver vintage military drums and artillery pieces connected to its predecessor regiments, the Bermuda Militia Artillery and the Bermuda Volunteer Rifle Corps, both which saw service in 2 world wars. Lieutenant Colonel William White, a former commander of the Bermuda Regiment, tells Charles Webb the meaning of the exhibit.
This story is all about Bermudians and Bermuda's service in the militias since about 1612, when we first had volunteers who formed the civil defense for the island, and of course the privateers who served on Bermudian shipping.
Now, there's some interesting pieces here. Where did most of them come from?
The committee started a search for items. We felt that many things would have been tucked away in private collections. And over the course of about a year, we've had a Facebook page, we've sent out emails and calls for items to come forward. Many individuals have highlighted things that are held in private collections. Far too many, of course, than we've been able to display here at Masterworks. But the National Museum of Bermuda and Fort St. Catherine have also had some extensive items that they haven't been able to show. And of course, items tucked away in the archives that we've been able to bring out. So there's quite a variety of things here.
Now, without showing any favoritism, what would you say is the most prized piece in this collection?
Oh, you're going to really put me on the spot now. For me, personally, I think the Regimental Sergeant Major's pace stick is probably the most interesting thing that most people wouldn't have got a close look at. There are certain items that go back to the 1890s when the first units were formed, both the Bermuda Militia Artillery and the Bermuda Volunteer Rifle Corps. But for me, I think the RSM's pace stick.
Now, people who come to this exhibition, will they be surprised or educated?
We hope a little bit of both. We have some text boxes up that talk about the history of the units that preceded the regiment. We have a lot of individual things that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the military forces. We've got a sewing kit that went through the First World War as a personal item for an individual who served with the Anglians in the theater in Europe. So there are many different things.
Transport Minister Sean Crockwell decided to see for himself just how bad the experience of traveling on the Rockaway Ferry really was, and turned up this morning to join other commuters. He told VSB News' Brian Darby in Parliament what he had found.
Over the past few weeks, various complaints has come to my office, and sometimes you have to separate fact from fiction, and the only way to do that is to go and experience it yourself. And so I got up early this morning because I live in the East End, but I went down to catch the Rockaway ferry at 8:20, and it was certainly a good experience for me to go there, be with the commuters. They appreciated the fact that I was there. They bent my ear for the entire time. It just so happened that today all ferries were on time and the amenities were working. It was cool on the ferry and the bathrooms were working. So, but I don't discount the fact that there has been some challenges. And so I've made it very clear to the Director of Marine and Ports that I want to ensure that those who are utilizing public transport and particularly utilizing our ferry, that they get to work on time and that the public transportation is a reliable public transportation. And so I just wanted to experience it today. I may be doing it again in the future unannounced, so no one knew I was coming today. Again, I had a good experience and it was good to be there with the commuters. And you know, we as Bermudians, we have to appreciate no matter what service we provide, whether it's the bus, whether it's ferry, whether it's working in the post office, that we have to ensure that we provide a high quality level of service. As you know that today, the Perot Post Office was named as TripAdvisor Excellent Award for 2015. So you never know who's watching, and I congratulated them this morning for that. And so I would like for our public transport as well to be seen as a transportation that is reliable and that is satisfactory. On top of that, though, let's not forget that the recent transportation survey that was done ranked our public transportation very high. So I think that people do have a good experience, but I want to go and see it for myself, and I'm glad I did.
Government's energy plan was given a grilling by the opposition in Parliament, but most of their concerns centered around the continued involvement of Belco in almost all of the existing and future sources of electricity. Minister of Economic Development, Dr. Grant Gibbons, said that this simply was not the case, as could be seen with the plans for natural liquefied gas.
One of the new fuel sources that we're considering, which is much more available now, is liquefied natural gas or LNG. And it's being used right across the United States, and in fact a number of other countries are importing it as well. And one of the reasons for that is it's a lot less expensive as a fuel than diesel or heavy fuel oil, which we use right now. It is also much cleaner burning. I think it's about 30% less carbon loaded than, for example, diesel or something of that sort. So it would help us on a number of different levels. One of the challenges with LNG is that it's cryogenic, which means that it's very low temperature because it's liquefied gas, and it needs to be shipped and stored appropriately. And I think one of the questions that came up today is where would you do that? And I think certainly one of the possibilities would be where we currently have fuel imported, which is down at the oil docks. So propane comes in that way. That's liquefied because that's normally a gas as well. So, but these are issues that planning and certainly we'll have to look at once we do additional diligence on whether LNG is appropriate, whether we can get the proper kind of contracts, whether we can get an export license, and does it make sense in the broader scheme. But right now, it looks like with the increasing abundance, the lower price, and the fact that it's cleaner burning, and you could also use it for transport as well, it might be a really nice, what we call bridging fuel between now and when renewables become are addressed in a way where they're not just intermittent anymore, where you have batteries and other storage capability which would allow energy from the sun or the wind to be stored and used for what they call base load, as opposed to simply peak load during the day, because obviously the sun doesn't shine at night and you can't generate electricity from it at night.
And we'll be back with more news right after this.
In an effort to make Bermuda's roads safer, and in partnership with Bermuda Police Service and the Bermuda Road Safety Council, DeFon's Broadcasting is launching a safe driving campaign. Complete with thumb bands, come into DeFon's Broadcasting and 94 Reed Street and make the commitment to drive safer and slower for yourself. Your voice could be featured on the radio. Get yourself a thumb band as a reminder of your commitment to drive safer and with fewer distractions. While you're at it, why not get one for someone in your life who also needs a reminder that our roads do not discriminate. They can take anyone's life. Let's drive safe, Bermuda, and arrive alive. Peace and love. Safe journeys.
A ruling in the Supreme Court that suggested the wording of a tax treaty between Bermuda and the U.S. needed clarification has been addressed with lightning speed by the legislature. The Senate sent the bill back to the House on Wednesday, and today the Minister of Economic Development, Dr. Grant Gibbons, piloted it through all three readings.
What the amendment did was it made it clear that requests could only be from, for example, IRS or others, could only be released on the basis of the court considering the confidentiality of the information that was filed with the court and then deciding whether to release it or not. Before that, it was not clear as to whether that information could be made public. So I think, in a sense, it protected the Ministry of Finance as well.
So it's not open season?
Not open season, exactly, yeah.
What he was worried about.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we did certainly move quickly. And as you say, because of what's been happening in Brussels, you have to.
Well, I think we wanted to make sure that as a jurisdiction we were seen to be having the appropriate structure in place to allow information exchange, and it would be done in a proper and appropriate way. And because the court found that it was not clear, the amendment had to be made fairly quickly. And of course we wanted to finish that, the minister wanted to finish that before the House rises for the summer.
There has been a change at the top of Bermuda's only daily newspaper. Dexter Smith has been appointed the new editor of the Royal Gazette. The 54-year-old Bermudian will succeed editorial consultant Tim Hodgson, who held the post of interim editor for the past 2 years. VSB News' Chris Lodge tells us more.
Bermuda Press Holdings Limited, the owners of the Royal Gazette, announcing that Mr. Smith, currently the paper's acting news editor, will take over the position on July the 1st, and Mr. Hodgson will remain with the Royal Gazette in a new position developing content for the company's range of print and digital products. Mr. Smith, who first joined the newspaper as a sports reporter in 1982, is a veteran journalist and editor with more than 33 years' experience in Bermuda and the United Kingdom. A former sports editor of both the Royal Gazette and the Mid-Ocean News, he spent 12 years working as a sports sub-editor on the Times and the Sunday Times in London, England, before returning to Bermuda in December of 2013 to take up the post of Deputy Editor, Head of Sports. Mr. Smith said one of his biggest challenges is to change the culture of the Gazette to a degree. He said we now operate in a 24-hour news cycle, and the platforms we're going to be giving to the public will be varied and many. He says it's essential that digital and print work together. He says you cannot sit back and expect people to wait for tomorrow's newspaper all the time. I'm Chris Lodge, VSB News.
In the old days, only the family doctor was allowed to have 2 cars in Bermuda. But now the Bermuda Hospitals Board has won Parliament's support for up to 40 of its physicians to enjoy the same benefit. Transport Minister Sean Crockwell explains.
There's no guarantee that all 40 will be taken up, but historically, doctors have been allowed to have a second car to be able to meet their high demands in the medical profession. And as you know, quite often emergencies would take place during unsocial hours. And so we want to have doctors to have that flexibility to be able to travel without any difficulty. Historically, BHB did not have practicing doctors within their ranks. They would have administrators who may have been doctors, but they were not actually practicing physicians. Now we have everything from anesthesiologists, radiologists, hospitalists, as you know, and so the need has become great for those doctors to have that same type of flexibility to have a second car. So the request came in, we thought it was reasonable. What is interesting is that we have ensured that the Chief of Staff must keep a close eye on this. The Chief of Staff must ensure that the request is a legitimate request. And because we've lost traffic on our roads, we didn't see this being as a challenge, and we want to support our medical practitioners, and we want the hospitals board to have the ability to recruit. They were saying that this was an impediment to their recruitment process.
It's worked well in the past, hasn't it?
Absolutely, it's worked well, and we think that it would be managed responsibly, and as you saw, the opposition didn't have any objection to it either.
And now we turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the sports desk.
Well, the 29th Central American and Caribbean Swimming Championships continued in Barbados last evening, where yet again, Madeline Moore stole the show for Bermuda. Moore captured her second gold medal of the championships and her third overall. It came during the 13-14 women's 50-meter backstroke final. Moore was seeded second, with the winner of the 100-meter backstroke as the number 1 seed. Moore had a spectacular start and breakout, which put her in the lead from the first stroke. She had some issues with swimming straight, which has slowed her down a bit, but the gold medal was hers, touching the wall in a time of 31:08. Jesse Washington swam a personal best and a new record in the 15-17 men's 50 yards freestyle final, which with a time of 24:72, which saw him finish in 5th place. Bermuda have gone down for their second game of the Fed Cup going on in the Dominican Republic. Bermuda are in Group D alongside Puerto Rico and Guatemala. Bermuda took on Puerto Rico going down 3-0. Zaire Simmons played the first match, taking on Monica Matis, going down a straight set, 6-love, 6-love. Jacqueline Lambert then took to the court, and she took on Ariana Rodriguez, going down in straight sets, 6-2, 6-2. The Bermuda doubles team of Kayla Cross and Kirsten Salters went down in straight sets to Juliana Ball and Erica Braschi, 6-love, 6-love. Meanwhile, on local soil, the 2015 Bank of Bermuda Foundation ITF Junior Circuit Tennis Tournament continued at the W.E.R. Joe Tennis Stadium, with 2 Bermuda players emerging as champions in the under-14 division. Richard Mallory III won the boys under-14 division, defeating Benjamin Jones in straight sets 6-1, 6-1, while Imani Phillips won the girls under-14 division in straight sets, defeating Lauren Way in the final 7-6, 6-3. Jones and Amir Thomas won the boys under-14 doubles division. In under-18 girls action, number 1 seed Naomi Waters advanced to the semifinals with a straight set victory over Elizabeth Manlick, 6-1, 6-3. In the under-18 boys singles, number 1 seed Stefan Kohifes needed 3 sets to defeat Brawl Patler to advance to the semifinals. Kohifes won the first set 6-3 but fell 4-6 in the second set before winning the third set 6-2. Malachi Jones and Onias Bascom are this week's Logic Premier and First Division Players of the Week. Jones thanked Logic and Bailey's Bay.
First of all, I'd like to thank Logic for continuously sponsoring this award every year, and I'd like to thank Bailey's Bay for welcoming me as a new player into the club with open arms, and hopefully I will be here a few more times this season.
Bascom was happy to get a century in his first knock of the season on home soil.
Yeah, always good to get a ton first game back, especially the win, because, I've been through a little rough patch. Hopefully it could continue,
Devonshire Colts have entered a youth team in the 2015 PA Classic Mid-Atlantic Cup in Pennsylvania. Vice President of the Devonshire Colts Club, Yolanda Utterbridge, said football for these youngsters is important.
What's also important is developing our young men. And we hope and we know that our team is going to represent the Devonshire Colts values of unity, character, and sportsmanship.
As we reported on Tuesday, Kamal Levrock and his Cardiff MCCU teammates went down by 117 runs to Leeds Bradford MCCU in the Challenge final at Lord's. Levrock finished with figures of 10 overs, 1 made and 1 for 89, and then scored 33 runs off of 20 deliveries. Levrock talked about his emotions on Tuesday.
I was trying to remain calm Tuesday morning, but as I was warming up, I got a bit of goosebumps from walking out on the field down through the long room, and it was a great experience to have.
Cheyenne Smith recently competed in France, competing in 3 events. Smith won the 200-meter dash, crossing the line at a time of 24:95. She finished 6th in the 400-meter hurdles where she crossed the line in a time of 1:03.98, and then she finished 5th competing in the shot put, where she recorded a top toss of 11.48 meters. Before we go, let's meet the Devonshire Colts youth players.
Mackay, striker. Micah, midfield. Thierry, Bridgerton, and Taka. My name is Noah Botello, and I play midfield. My name is Akia Richardson, and I play midfield. My name is Ataya Bridges, and I'm a center midfielder.
My name is Hunter Otterbridge, and I play striker.
My name is Cara Simmons, and I play goalkeeper.
My name is Johnny Richardson, and I'm a left back.
My name is Christopher Brights, and I play defense.
I'm Earl Beeston reporting for VSB Sports.
And now a look at the weather. For Saturday, June 27th, there will be a mix of sun and cloud with 1 or 2 showers likely. Winds will be southwesterly and moderate. The high will be near 86 Fahrenheit and the low near 77 Fahrenheit. This weather report is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thank you for watching VSB News Online for Friday, June 26th. I'm Peter Kitzel.